the people that have sickle cell is not their choice. Like, they were born with it, and being born with it shows that there was some kind of ignorance on the part of the parents to have a child that had sickle cell. So sometimes it's not ignorance, sometimes it's lack of awareness.
Nobody kind of grows up and say, I want to be a sickle cell
True.
person. But then, whether it's the ignorance of the parents or the lack of awareness, because you mentioned something that's very important. Maybe a parent feels like, I'm healthy.
So, like, there's a category of people that they didn't check their genotype at all before getting married, and mommy and daddy is AS. There's another category of mommy thought she's AA, but she's AS.
She thought. Let me go personal. What are your fears? You were born as an SS person and you got to realize that you're living in a world with other people. What are your real fears in life?
My fears, or major fear, is just like having my health hinder me from achieving my dreams. Will the sickness allow me or give me the flexibility of pursuing my dreams to my heart content?
How do you manage this fear?
Godly conversations.
You are in the right place at the right time for the right conversation. This is season 2 of Godly Conversations podcast.
Welcome to Godly Conversation podcast, and I am your host, Wem. Today is another episode that I have a wonderful guest, my friend, Hannah. Welcome to Godly Conversations podcast. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Owen. It's good to be here.
Oh, how do you feel about being here?
Wonderful.
Is that the only feeling you have? All right, people. Hannah is a librarian. She's a program coordinator and a volunteer. So she's here to enlighten me and you on so many things and everything around sickle cell. So as a sickle cell warrior herself, she has a lot of information and valuable ones at that to actually share with us. And we want to experience Hannah without going too far. If you're not opposed to sharing with me where you come from and anything about your background that you're free to share about your upbringing, childhood.
Okay. So I'm an Igbo girl from Abia State.
You like money?
I grew up in Abuja. And I had my secondary school education in Abuja. Had my university education in the East, University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And currently I'm working in Abuja. So that's it.
Okay, that's it. All right, that was your childhood experience. And when did you come to know the effects of being a sickle cell warrior and how people view that in the society?
Okay, so my childhood experience was, I'll say it was good because I was still under the protection of my parents and things like that. I didn't even really know like how sick I was because it wasn't spoken about. I was seen as an absolute normal person.
Yeah.
I attended church like every other person, went to school like every other person. In some instances, I had friends, I had neighbors. So I pretty lived a normal life. I did house chores and stuff like that. So I think my first experience with knowing how the world felt about or thought about sickle cell was in my secondary school. But even at that time, I didn't even get the full picture. I didn't even know exactly what they were talking about. So that is to show you how much I was, like, I felt normal.
So you were so shielded by your parents that you didn't even feel the weight of like being a sickle cell is something different from being a normal person.
Yes. So I will not say shielded. I will say treated normally.
Okay.
So I didn't even know there was a difference between like people that had sickle cell and people that did not have sickle cell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I had a pretty normal childhood.
That's actually beautiful to know. Personally, I'm curious about knowing more about sickle cell, people that have sickle cell, because I think the normal mindset that people might actually have would just be like a sickler, someone that is always sick and all of that. And it's almost like it's scary for some, and the mindset around that is not like people considering you as a normal person, So what would you say to that? Or did you come to leaving your parents? Did you come to experience something like that made you feel like, oh, I thought that I was just like everybody else?
No, not exactly. So I think whenever I heard someone mention sickler, it was maybe in conversations, like they were not talking to me directly.
Okay.
Like I overheard some conversations, or maybe during hospital visits and stuff like that. So, but in my family, no, there was nothing like that. Nothing about being a sickler or anything like that.
All right, that's actually a good one. Thank God for the, growing up in a family that you're actually seen as normal and all of that. But what do you think the world sees people that have sickle cell as? Or what awareness would you like the world to know about people that have sickle cell?
Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind for people that know other people that have sickle cell, the first one that comes to mind is sickler, like you said. And that's because they use that phrase to associate people that have sickle cell. And so when that word comes to mind, it's like they are just trying to talk about somebody that is always sick, always on drugs, and like always down. And so I feel like people should know that the people that have sickle cell it's not their choice. Like they were born with it, and being born with it shows that there was some kind of ignorance on the part of the parents to have a child that had sickle cell. So sometimes it's not ignorance, sometimes it's lack of awareness. So lack of awareness in the sense that they are not aware that there's something like that. And because they are healthy and normal, they might have not taking it serious to do a genotype test to know the complications or the possibilities of having a child that can have sickle cell. So for people out there, when they hear sickle cell, when they hear sickler, or when they hear someone that has sickle cell, what comes to mind first is just someone that is sick, like so sick that they do not have like hopes of achieving anything in life. So I think I want people to, you don't necessarily have to be optimistic, but just be more reserved about the way you mention or you state that name sickler.
Like wanting to state the obvious, like
it's not so that you know it's already obvious.
Okay.
But when you use the word sickler, you now start to sound discriminatory.
Yeah.
So it now starts to have the wrong impression, and the other party starts to feel bad.
Have you experienced anything like that? Someone making you feel bad like that?
Yes, I have. Many times, to some extent. So usually on the part of these people, they do not know how best to address the issue or to bring up the issue. So usually some of them just come and say, are you a sickler? Or some of them just come and say, oh, your eyes are like this, why are you like this? Oh, are you sick? What is wrong with you? Oh, I've noticed that you're like this. So it depends on the individual perspective. The ones that address the issue in a subtle way are people that have experiences. They don't just come outright and call you a sickler, or they just don't come outright and start to assume things. They actually go close and then they kind of speak to you gently, just like so that they can
know you as a person.
Yeah, not just getting to know me, so that they can confirm their assumptions.
Yeah.
Like they can just be like, "Hi, I saw you. Like, okay, maybe I'll be seeing you around, and I just wanted to ask that. Oh, are you that kind of a person and stuff like that?" So they approach the matter more in a more enlightened way.
Okay.
Yes.
So it means people that don't have a lot of awareness, like that don't have awareness about the sickle cell, immediately they see you, maybe your eye is a certain way, or they just walk up and be like, "Oh, are you a sickler?" Like, how do you feel when somebody says that? How does it feel like?
Usually, I don't like that question. I feel like I don't feel bad. Like, I'm used to it, but I just don't like to be asked that
the feeling,
question.
what comes up for you?
What comes up is
Is it anger?
just dislike.
Okay.
Dislike. Subtle anger. Subtle anger that they are not more they can't read the room. Like, they should know when to address somebody like that and stuff like that.
Yeah, because even scripture says speak the truth in love. So even if you see something that's obvious to you, there's a loving way to approach it.
Exactly.
Okay, so but for someone who may not really know, and maybe ask someone that has sickle cell and don't know how to approach them or how to feel about them, because somehow, if you're like a family member, a friend, you might feel afraid about them. Like, I don't know, I'm just saying, you might just be scared for the person and like, okay, let me treat them. Don't do this, don't do that, so that, because somehow you don't know what might transpire, what might happen. So you're just being careful. What would you say to that person? To like, first of all, the person that is not aware, how can they approach you since they are curious? Or so that to avoid them assuming something, how can they approach you, or what better words or language can they use to approach you to find out, okay, I've been seeing you like this, and I just want to know, like, what can you say to that?
I think, first of all, the person should avoid confronting the other person in a public space, so as not to get the attention of other people. Then secondly, read the room. If you can speak to the person privately, it will be fine. And it's not bad to go straight to the point. It's even better you go straight to the point, so that you know when you want to talk about, and then you get your assumptions confirmed and everybody goes home. So I would prefer, first, do not confront the person in public. Secondly, read the room, depending on where you are, and speak to the person privately. Just to confirm your suspicions.
I get that, and it's actually better to get to know that. So for you, in your years of volunteering in the organizations with sickle cell people, what have been your experience with other people, like, that have sickle cell? What has been your experience like, and what can you say are their normal experience that you would like to speak to?
Okay, so one thing I noticed with working with other people that have sickle cell, or reaching out to them, is number one, complications differ from person to person.
Okay.
Experiences, pain crisis differs from person to person. Pain threshold differs from person to person. Coping mechanisms differ from person to person.
So now, okay, I'm gonna stop you for a bit. You break down some of these things. Pain threshold, I understand, but for someone who's like, okay, what's pain threshold? What's this one?
Okay.
So can you break it down one after another?
Okay. So I think the first one I mentioned was complications, right? So sickle cell disease has a few complications, and they can range from avascular necrosis to leg ulcer to, just mention those two for now. So for some people can have avascular necrosis. Avascular necrosis usually occurs at the hip, at the joint that is like a ball and socket joint. So why that happens is because when the blood does not have enough oxygen that goes around the body, that place starts to wear and tear because of the little quantity of blood and oxygen that gets there. So when it starts to wear and tear, it starts to cause pain, and then after a while, the person experiences challenges with walking normally. So the person starts to limp, and if it is not noticed on time and treated on time, it can escalate. So some people usually have that. Then for leg ulcer is like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like an opening, like the skin just starts to open at a particular point, and it starts to kind of eat up. So that's another complication that happens. I've noticed that some people have different complications. Some people have, when I mentioned pain threshold. So some people's pain can only be subdued with a particular pain med.
Yeah.
And there are different ranges of pain medications.
Yeah.
I'm sure you must have heard of tramadol and cocodamol and diclofenac.
Yeah.
So all those drugs have a different, they are for different purposes.
Yeah.
But there are some people that have so much pain that they can't, paracetamol doesn't do the work. Diclofenac doesn't do the work. They have to use cocodamol or pentalozine.
So, but it has to be recommended from the...
Yes, it's usually recommended.
Okay.
It's usually recommended. But for something like pentalozine, it has to be taken in the hospital because there is a high range of addiction, high possibility of addiction for pentalozine, even cocodamol. Because once the person starts experiencing pain, and you know that this particular drug will bring them relief very fast, they go for it, which is absolutely normal.
And they get addicted to it.
Yes, they get addicted to it. So in my work with people that have sickle cell, I've seen people who are absolutely normal, leading normal lives, going to school and being as normal as any other person.
Yeah.
And I've also experienced people who have had complications and have had to stay at home and not been able to lead a normal life. And in my experiences with these people, I've noticed that, number one, medication is key. So medication starts from like a normal, like having a relationship with your doctor. Your doctor has to be the one to really tell you what is happening and recommend drugs for you.
Yeah.
So the basic fundamental drugs that I'm aware of are folic acid, B complex. Folic acid and B complex. Then depending on what your doctor recommends, you can take palodrine, you can take cod liver oil, you can take astimine. The red blood cells for somebody that has sickle cell are sickled. And so because they are sickled, passing through the blood vessels can be difficult. And when they get stuck, they lead to pain. So that's what is called a pain crisis. And so this pain can happen anywhere in the body. When these blood vessels do not have enough oxygen or cannot carry enough oxygen around the body, that is when this complication starts to... First of all, it starts like a normal day-to-day sickness and stuff like that.
You might even think it's malaria or
Exactly.
stuff like that.
Exactly.
So, but you don't know it's going to kind of get complicated. Okay, so now for someone that maybe is a family member or a close person to someone that has sickle cell, because now if you get sick, what do you advise they do? And what kind of awareness do they need to have? Maybe friends and all of that. What is that thing like? Because, okay, for me, if I were to be a friend to someone like that, close friend, and then we staying together or something like that, somehow if you get sick, I get scared. Because I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Okay. So first thing I recommend is education. So the family member or the friend should be educated, at least the basics. Just to read up on sickle cell in general.
Yeah.
Then another type of education is from knowing who you're staying with.
Yeah.
The individual that you're staying with, either as a family member or a friend. So sometimes you have to be the one to ask the questions. When you are not feeling fine, what is the issue? Or before the person is not feeling fine, what are the preventive measures to take? Like avoiding dehydration, always drinking water, always keeping fluids at close range. Then taking the routine medicines daily and eating a balanced diet. Yeah. So those are the 3 basic preventive measures that can be taken. Then when the person falls sick, you have to identify, okay, is this just like a crisis that is as a result of stress, or is malaria, or you just try to identify what caused the sickness. which involves going to the hospital to get a test done. And in getting a test done, I also usually recommend that they check their blood levels, their PVC, PCV. It's PCV.
Whichever one. It's okay.
It's PCV. They should check their PCV.
Yeah.
Because that would help them make more informed decisions.
Okay.
So that in case they need to boost their blood levels, they get the necessary fruits and multivitamins that will help with that. Because increased blood levels also help in the internal workings of the body.
Yeah.
Your energy levels and just the internal workings of the body.
So you talk about energy levels. Let's just get to the energy level. You're working in a place.
Okay.
And then you're working with other people.
Okay.
And there are expectations on you.
Yeah.
And all of that. What do you do with your energy level as someone that has sickle cell?
Okay.
And how do you manage when you are out of energy?
Okay.
Is there a way to communicate it?
Yeah. You should be able to communicate it.
Okay. I'm listening.
So first things first, I would say the person should avoid like unnecessary attention on them. What I mean is, even if somebody knows you, let them know you for who you are, not based on your sickness, for a start.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't put this unwanted pressure on them. Because they too, when they know, they start to have this unconscious, they start to really focus on you unconsciously, just so that they are aware of anything that can happen.
Yeah.
In some cases. That's number one. Number two, for energy levels, I would say, from my experience, usually the red blood cells of someone that has AA last 100 to 120 days. But the red blood cell of somebody that has sickle cell disease lasts just 10 to 20 days. So you can see the difference. So there's a constant breakdown and build up of red blood cell in the body for someone that has sickle cell. That's why they have to take their drugs daily. They have to be dehydrated. They have to be hydrated. So because of that, their energy levels are not even as someone with AA. So what I would say is, first of all, make sure that your peak times are during work hours so that you can get enough work done.
Yeah.
Then when you go home, you rest. And you also take note of internal feelings you might be having at a particular day. Because sometimes you could just be absolutely fine and the next minute you feel really down and you just want to rest. So it could maybe you have been like overworking yourself in the past few days.
Yeah.
And it's just coming to accumulate that at that time, or you haven't really rested well, or you are dehydrated, or you didn't eat well. It could be anything.
Yeah.
So when you notice that you're feeling down, you communicate. Usually everybody knows how they are feeling.
Yeah.
And so from yourself, you can tell if this is something that will go, that is short-lived, or if it is something that has the possibility to escalate.
Yeah.
So you can tell if it is something that is just like you need 1 hour rest and you can go back to your work. So if you notice that it is something that maybe might take longer, you can just communicate and tell the person, and tell the person that you're working with or your manager stuff. Usually it's not recommended to always be taking excuses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just can't help it. And so you communicate and tell the person that, especially if it is something that has a deadline, like a very tight deadline or so, and you're like, okay, I'm currently working on this. I'm working, but I feel the need to just rest. Get some rest. Because apart from that, even other people, there are times they feel down.
Yeah, everybody feels. Everybody has that time that you just feel down and you're like,
exactly.
I need to rest, because if I don't rest now, my body might actually give up. So, but there's something that this thing you gave is actually shocking to me, because I didn't know that. Like the red blood cell, kind of the longevity or the days it lasts for someone that has AA or other genotype, and then someone that actually has sickle cell. That's really helpful. But then I've noticed something from everything you've said. it means for someone that has sickle cell, you cannot be intentional.
You cannot be
Like you
intentional.
cannot live without being intentional.
Okay.
So no, because if I have to take my medication every morning to check my blood and my energy level, do all of this, it's much of being an intentional person. So it means you're a very intentional person. You miss your breakfast.
There are some days. Yeah, there are some days.
Is that based on stubbornness?
No, sometimes it's not based on stubbornness.
Okay.
I think it's just it could be different issues. Sometimes, okay, maybe there's no breakfast, or you didn't plan for breakfast that day, or maybe you're just rushing out and you didn't take breakfast. It could be anything.
So, but what do you do? Won't it affect your energy for the day?
Definitely. So
why do you take the risks?
So it's not like it's a risk that is done purposely. So usually, yes, like you said, breakfast is very key, because I just remember that sometimes when I don't take my breakfast, I cannot function. I can't really function. It's like your sugar levels are low and your brain is not just picking up. So it happens to every other person.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So you talked about being intentional.
Yeah.
So I think because to some extent they grow up with it. So sometimes their body can just get used to maybe skipping breakfast for like 3 hours.
Okay.
And then they just get a snack to
Okay.
help, to just so that they are not hungry and weak, and then they carry on.
So I'd like you to help people like the genotype compatibility thing, because nobody kind of grows up and say I want to be a sickle cell person, but then whether it's the ignorance of the parents or the lack of awareness from whichever way, because you mentioned something that's very important. Maybe a parent feels like I'm healthy, like they because like you said, it's actually different for every person, every sickle cell person. That some of them might be very strong and healthy and normal, like they don't have some of these escalating situations, so they just feel normal, and at that point they didn't check their genotype or anything like that, so they just went ahead and get into marriage, not knowing that it will actually affect their family and all of that. Can you talk about the genotype compatibility thing? I think you mentioned earlier that there are 6 genotypes. I didn't know that there are up to 6 anyways. Maybe if you can help us with that.
Okay, so when you spoke about people having sickle cell, like ignorance and lack of awareness and stuff like that, it just reminded me of the different categories of people I had seen in my work with Sickle Cell Warriors. So like there's a category of people that they didn't check their genotype at all before getting married, and mommy and daddy is AS. There's another category of, okay, mommy thought she's AA, but she's AS. She thought she thought she's AS, but she thought she's AA, but she's AS. And they went on to have a child. The child became SS. There are different factors that can make someone have a child that has sickle cell, especially when they are not informed. Yeah. So usually for someone that has AS means you have just a trait, a sickle cell trait, and so you're as healthy as you can be. Yeah.
Okay.
So you just have the trait. So where caution should be taken is when it comes to offspring. Yeah. So that you do not pass that trait down to the offspring. So let's go to genotype. So genotype, you said genotype compatibility. So I know that the one that we know, the basic one we know is AA, AS, SS.
SS, yeah.
AS, SS. But research has shown that we have AA, AC, AS, SS, SC, and CC. So AA is the normal, like, genotype, the normal gene. Then AS means the person has one normal gene and one sickle cell gene. SS means the person has both copies of the sickle cell gene.
Yeah.
SC or AC means the person has one copy of the normal gene and one copy of the sickle cell gene. So that C is a different type of the sickle cell. So if you have, because if you dig deeper, you see that even SS has different categories.
Okay.
Yes. So that is where that C comes from. It's a different variation, and call it a variation.
So with the variation, sorry for cutting you, is there like a difference in the experiences?
Usually no.
Okay.
So why I say usually, because there are I've heard of and I've seen, not seen but more like read of someone that had AS or has AS but usually fell sick. And so when tests was carried out, they found out that the S gene was more like, let's say, dominant.
Oh yeah.
And so it made the person fall ill frequently. So in some cases, it is not very common, but you could have cases where the person is affected by the S gene. So the person doesn't fall sick like someone that has sickle cell, but some of his sicknesses are triggered by the fact that he has
that trait. Okay.
Yeah, but it's not very common.
But then the SS kind of like you have to take the precaution.
Yes.
Because you know that if you don't take precaution and be intentional, you can actually skyrocket and cause something else.
Yes.
So you are a very intentional person. Anyway, so let me ask this. Let me go personal. What are your fears? Okay, you were born as an SS person and you got to realize that you're living in a world with other people. What are your real fears in life as an SS person, someone that has SS?
My fears, or major fear, is just like having my health hinder me from achieving my dreams. So sickle cell disease is not the only disease in the world.
Yeah,
there are other diseases, and people have found ways to manage their disease and achieve their dreams. So that is where my fear lies. Will the sickness allow me or give me the flexibility of pursuing my dreams to my heart content? Because sometimes you just have to take caution. You have to limit the way you exert yourself out there, your energy and everything. Because if you don't take caution, it will help you take caution.
Oh.
It will help you take caution, and then you will just be down. And things like that. Yes, so that's it.
How do you manage this fear?
Well, how do I manage my fear? Take one day at a time.
Okay.
One day at a time. And you also take proactive measures. So that's why it's called a proactive measure.
Yeah.
Because no one can really say, or no one can really determine how life turns out.
Yeah.
Because even people that are very healthy, after all their proactive measures, anything can happen. So you take proactive measures, and for me as a Christian, I commit my ways into the Lord's hand.
Talking like a deaconess. I like that. So it's a real fear, because just like anybody else having dreams, and you're like, there may be limitations to me achieving this dream. But when you talk about the fact that, with my health, allow me to like fulfill my dreams, does that mean that this can short circuit the kind of dreams you have for your life?
Sometimes, because they're how do I put it now? Sometimes, I just say sometimes, because it depends on the dream you want to have. Like, you should not have something that really saps your energy out on a daily basis. Okay. And even if it does, you should have a system in place whereby you just go and rest and rejuvenate and get back. So it's just like every other person.
I get you.
The body should not be stretched beyond its limits. You should always have a way to help it rest and build itself back. The way God has made us is very wonderful.
Yeah.
There are ways the body can rejuvenate
heal
itself. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually like the part of rest, because we don't just talk about this and make it an SS person thing, because every human being needs to take rest. You know,
True.
you see people at their peak in their young age and AA whatever, and they are good, their health is good, but then they're not intentional. They eat anything, they take in anything into their system, and before they are in their older age, their body is giving up on them, because the things they took in has actually affected the build up of their body. The body can't even heal itself again. So it's something like, even for me, when I hear you talk about, would my health allow me to live my dreams, it's actually very deep, because even for you that is saying I'm AA, my genotype is AA, it's something to look at, and that should make you be intentional to say, I will now be intentional with my exercise, I will be intentional with taking rest, I'll be intentional with my diet, with the food that I eat, because it becomes so real to me, and I'm like, in my 30s now, I want to be careful with how I am actually taking care of myself, because I don't want to get to my 50, 60 and I'm already like breaking down. I enjoy when I see men, like I'm a man, when I see men in their 70s who are still as young, like strong as if they are 30. It actually makes me happy to see that. And I'm like, so there's a possibility for me to still be very healthy at an older age. So it's actually very important, because if any of us doesn't take our health serious, it can actually limit where we get to. And sorry, I'm going to talk for a bit here, because something came to mind, and I realized that one day I was actually on my way to work, and then an idea came to mind that I only have one car, which is one body. My body is my car. My body is my vehicle for life. And I'm like, it's only one. There's no duplicate. There's no...
You cannot go and change your leg outside.
There's nothing like that. Even if you change, it can't be like, you know, there's a problem with it. So anything you change does not have like that thing, like the quality is supposed to have. So I'm like, there's one body. I have only one body. I may have dreams. I have vision. I have things I want to do with my life, but just one body. And this body is my only vehicle. And how I take care of this vehicle will determine how long and how far we can go. So, which means if I decide to be stupid, because somehow, you know, I used to take soda a lot. Since I don't want to drink alcohol, drink beer and all of those things. So I take a lot of soda. And I actually came to a place I had to advise myself. Don't be stupid. I had to advise myself and say, okay, we need to cut out the rate of taking this thing and all of that. I'm still advising myself, because I don't rest much. And sometimes I blame myself for resting if I want to rest too much, because I'm like, there's a future ahead of you. There's something.
You have to plan and work towards it.
But hearing you say this actually ministers to me. Let me use that word. Christian. Ministers to me, because it actually sounded so deep, and I'm like, will my health hinder me from getting to the destination of my destiny and fulfilling my purpose and dreams? So I think it's something for anybody to actually think about and kind of extract from this conversation. If you're an SS person, someone that has SS, someone with AA, AAs, whatever thing is whatever genotype it is, you just need to know that your health is very important to the life you're living. Exactly. So, you have something to add to that?
No.
Said no. So, I actually get here because, I think when I called you and you mentioned that you wanted to create more awareness with your social media page, I was actually excited about that, because you told me about the fact that you didn't really come public about you being someone that has SS. What were those things that held you back, that you felt like, I don't want to come public about this, I don't want people to know me as SS? What were the things that you felt like held you back?
The stigma.
Oh.
The stigma.
Talk about the stigma.
The stigma, and should I use the word? I can't really use pity party per se, but the stigma is a huge one, because people they don't do it purposely. They are only doing it from a place of care or understanding. They do not want to involve you in things. There's this trend on social media that says, involve me, but you cannot. It just depends on how
once we involve you now, you cannot.
You cannot stay, or you cannot, depending on the context they use it in.
I've seen
So for someone that has sickle cell now, you're like, involve me, but you cannot stay outside like for long, or you cannot in the rainy season. You cannot come out without your sweater. You cannot do without being hydrated. You do not have the energy levels to keep up, depending on the kind of activity it is and stuff like that. Like sometimes even going hiking, I know personally for me, there was a time I went hiking, and from being in the front, I was the last. So
wait. What came into your mind when you said I want to go hike?
So it was a fellowship. It was a fellowship retreat.
Okay.
And so for sickle cell, another thing that can trigger, let's say, pain crisis is height. So the higher you go, the less oxygen. Yeah. And so it starts to affect the body.
The lungs.
Not just necessarily the lungs, but it just starts to slow down. Oh. You have to take it much slower than other people. And so I went hiking, and I went with so much energy, so much vigor. After some time, I could not keep up. Everybody was just passing me, because I had to rest, catch my breath. Like, people were not feeling, like, everybody still felt normal and energized and so, but me, I felt like my energy level had, like, everything had finished.
Your body was giving up on you.
Like, I just had to sit down on the track and get myself back before I kept going.
Even saying this can make you feel like, if I let people know that I have sickle cell, they are going to kind of put me out, restrict me from some things, opportunities that I'm supposed to get. They're going to restrict me from some opportunities. So what do you really want? Like, what would you like, now that you've come out, people know I'm a sickle cell person, but I still have dreams, I still have skills, I still have abilities, I can still do a lot. What are the suggestions, or what would be your opinion that you would give to say, okay, you can still involve me, and then these are the parameters that I can work with?
Okay. So I think it can be tailored to individual preferences. Okay. But I would say, yes, you can involve me. You can involve me in outings. I'm available to go out. But what kind of outing are we going? Are we going on a picnic? Are we going to an art gallery? I can survive it. Yes, I can hike. I can definitely hike. Okay, but just I'm really last person. Okay. So yeah, I'm available for those kind of things. Is it an outreach? Yes, I'm available for an outreach. But for something like an outreach now, I need to go with like an energy drink. Everybody needs it's not like it's special to me. But but my water must come with me. Then an energy drink or a snack bar. Then what else? What are some kind of activities that are really tasking that you're thinking of?
I don't really go out like that, so I don't really know a lot of activities that maybe.
Okay, for example, let's say the redeem, they go to camp, like redeem camp. Yes, I can go for something like that. I just have to, how do I put it now? Maintain. I can't be involved in everything. Okay. Yes. Like it means. But I can be there, but not actively involved
in everything.
Yes. Like I can, when, I don't know, it depends on the situation. Yeah. Yeah. But
and now your body kind of, because if you feel like your body's energy is actually drained, even if you are involved in something, you definitely withdraw. So like, I get the aspect of, not wanting to come out because of the stigma and how people are going to take you with pity and all of that, because it will be hard even for the person to like want to handle you like every other person. It definitely,
it can also be uncomfortable for the other person.
Yeah, it would be, because now I need, for me, for example, I would really need to be more careful with you to be sure that I'm not going to hurt you in the process of trying to involve you or trying to make you feel safe and like you belong. So, but then I want to applaud your kind of your strength and you decided to say, okay, let me come out, notwithstanding, because there are other people, there are other sickle cell warriors out there that may need to know, okay, being a sickle cell or having sickle cell shouldn't limit you, but should not stop you from living life and having vision for life. Because sometimes it could be like, if you were born and then you realize that you have sickle cell, it could actually damage even you mentally. Or like, you know that already you are limited from where you can go in life. So can you speak to that person, or can you talk around that?
Okay.
Your dreams, what are the things that you really feel like? Because you seem to me like someone that has a lot of dreams and all of that. So what can you talk about regarding that?
Okay. So, yes, number one, having sickle cell should not limit your dreams. Yes, I agree to that. Another thing is, you should be intentional about what you want to achieve. And then sometimes there are some cases where you cannot really help it. Like where your health really has to really restrict you. And in cases like that, I think you should just like work with what you have, where you are. And in the aspect of coming out to really say, oh, I'm a sickle cell, I have sickle cell. It's not like a public announcement.
I know it's not like you're coming out to say, hey, everybody.
It's not like a public announcement.
I get you,
Because at this point or at that point, your friends, your close friends and your family is already aware. Yeah. So it just depends on maybe the new community you go into and stuff like that. And you might not want to outrightly say it. Because so that I don't want to also make it uncomfortable for others. So you just like, let me use the word tread carefully. So you're not treading carefully, but for me personally, I just feel like I prefer people to know me for me than for the disease. I do not want to be classified
as a sick person.
Not like I don't want to classify as sick, but I don't want you to know me in relation to my disease.
Okay.
At least not at first. So that it doesn't limit, or let me just say limit your experience or your friendship with me, something like that. And
when I hear you say not at first, but not at all, like you should not be classified by your disease, like whatever thing, because you have a name, you have a personality, like you are a person, you are a human. So I don't even feel like you should be like, you have the disease, but that is not who you are.
Exactly.
So because yes, thank you for saying that, because sometimes even for us, me and other people who may not have been aware, you see a sickle cell person and all that comes to you about them is that sickle cell. So, and everything that you see them, like everything you want to do with them, or the sickle cell is used for every excuse, or because they are sickle cell, that's why they don't value themselves, or maybe because they are sickle cell, so it's almost like they are classified by the disease. And I love that you said you don't want to be classified by that, so which actually can inform you not going to a place you don't want to, want everybody to know that this is what I have, but this is who I am.
Another thing is, usually when people come with that mindset of you're a sickler, it is because of what they have experienced with other people, or what they have heard other people say. So usually there's this general notion that yes, they are sicklers and they're always sick because the people that they have met in the past were either always sick, always in the hospital. Like there was something about them that really stamped that sickler mindset with them. Yes. And so it's usually hard, but we're all humans.
And makes the risks become greater. Kind of like for the person that is like, I met someone like that and all of that, seeing the condition and how it kind of skyrocketed, it made the person afraid.
So yes, that now shapes the person's perspective of other people.
True.
Yes. So usually the way somebody refers to another person is through they're already it's through what they
Their
have already
prejudice.
their previous experiences in regards to that category
Yeah.
or that topic.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get that. So I'll actually this one is actually personal too. And what are your fears when it comes to relationship? You know, I'll set it up like this. When it comes to the relationship, the demographic of having relationship and marriage and all of that in our world today is something else. So generally, for anyone, whether you are someone that has sickle cell or not, relationship is hard. Finding a good person is hard. So, but what are your preferences and what are the fears that you have around that?
Okay. So it can be scary, and it is scary for two people to come together, one person that is normal and one person that is sick, regardless of the sickness, not just sickle cell.
Yeah, I get you.
Imagine if it's another sickness entirely.
Mm.
It is absolutely normal to feel scared.
Yeah.
So life is a risk in general. So that is one fear. They have to have someone that's supportive to really tell them that, oh, this is what, like, just to show them around, or just give them tips once in a while, depending on the situation or things like that. So I think if they know that, okay, this person that I'm with is also positive, is not going to just base all their responses, their lifestyle and everything based on that sickness.
Yeah.
They also have other things to look out for that are not related to that sickness.
That's
At least everybody needs a bit of positivity in their life.
Everybody needs, not just a bit. Everybody has to, like, the scripture that always comes for me is Philippians 4:8. That Paul says, think about these things, whatsoever thing is true, whatsoever thing is honest, whatsoever thing is just, whatsoever thing is worthy of praise. So to me, all of that is think about what is positive. Think about what is helpful. Instead of thinking on your fears and all of that, think about what is actually helpful. Is it honorable when you think about this? If it's not honorable, then it says don't think about that. So because if you start dwelling on thinking about your fears, it's going to bring you to a place of anxiety. And of course you're on the road to depression. So, and that is not good for your health, because definitely it's going to affect your physical health. So, and I want to go about it this way because, generally, like I said, everybody have relational issues. And it's something that I came to realize that relationship is one of the hardest things that we are dealing with, whether it's with family or friendship or whatever. Then talk less about the marriage aspect of having to have a partner. It is hard. It is not easy, but feel like nobody really trains anybody for that. And then having to meet someone and you're like, okay, I have this thing, I have sickle cell, because I could see the scenario of like someone that has sickle cell, but then is strong, going into a relationship and not wanting to be honest about it at first, want to fall in love first. So, which I get, or I might want to fall in love first before they want to like say, I have
this is who I am.
And at that point, it becomes a little more difficult to like get to handle the situation. And some of them allow the love emotion to carry them away and they get to marry. So, but then, which I can see the fear that is there, like if I tell them, they will not see me for me.
Yeah.
They will kind of rate me, see me for the sickness. And the other scenario I'm looking at in my brain right now is like someone that says, okay, maybe as a woman, I have this sickle cell, but not trying to choose better because like, I don't really have hope of finding someone that is there. So almost like choosing someone that will pity them. So, it's just like a scenario that came to me. So I'm like, if you were to speak to someone that has sickle cell, and these are real fears, this is real life, how are you navigating your life based on relationship? And what can you say to them to navigate their mindset around that? Because this is not just about even sickle cell. There are ladies out there who just peak low because the self-worth is actually down. They don't value themselves. They don't have the self-worth value is actually on a low place. So somehow when they choose, they're just choosing people that will manage them, not people that will actually care and love them. So like, what can you say to that person? How do you manage your thoughts, your fears and your preferences?
So first of all, I'll say, when it comes to marriage is a how do I put it now? is a business that has a long duration.
Mm.
It's a long time business. Meaning that it's not a relationship that you can break after 2 years. Once you get married, you are married.
Okay.
So I would say for somebody who is coming from the point of view that, oh, I'm already sick, I'm already down, what do I have to even look forward to? At least I should not even be like someone that I can make a choice. Anybody that just sees me and likes me, I should settle for him. So what I would say is, first of all, you as a person, are you somebody that is negative or positive? Because if you are positive, you would be a good friend, you would interact with people, you would go out, you would be friendly with other people. And when you are friendly with other people, people will see you first for your friendliness. But if you are negative, you will not have the thought of, oh, I'm already sick, why should I bother myself with trying to choose a man? The man is supposed to come and choose me, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, I get it.
So what I'll say is, first of all, you should know that marriage is for eternity. And so you cannot just base that choice on your negative feelings. And even if somebody likes you and chooses you, and you know that this is not what you will want or stuff like that, as time goes on, the person will realize it. The person will know that you yourself are just accepting me because you feel like you might not get something better. And that can lead to a friction in your relationship. And at the end of the day, you might end up breaking up. And even if you have been married, it can lead to a divorce. So that is like a long-term heartbreak. And so to avoid that, no matter how you feel, once you are positive, I would suggest, like, especially if, like I said earlier, if you are friendly, that would help your self-esteem. You will be able to know that, oh, this is who I am, this is who I like, and this is who I accept. And when you now have that mindset and you can choose who you want and who you like and accept him, another thing you should do is, because you like this person and because you like yourself, you would also help this person to navigate this health issue. Because there are a lot of things that partners have to navigate through. You navigate life, you navigate finances, you navigate a lot of things. So health is just one topic in it.
Yeah, true.
So seeing that you like this person and this person is somebody you want to be with, you will help this person to navigate through that aspect of your life. You will not leave the person to assumptions or learning from other people outside. So I think, number one, you should not exactly settle for less, because settling for less is a reflection of who you are. It is a reflection of who you are, because you are almost like you don't believe in yourself.
Say that again.
You don't really believe in yourself. You doubt who you are. Yes, there are times when you feel low and stuff like that. But when it comes to the choice of a life partner, you should. Because usually why the person is even attracted to you in the first place was because the person saw that you were friendly and positive. No one wants to be with somebody who is negative. So that positivity, that happiness that you were exhibiting is something you should maintain. Because if you realize that you as a person, you are the one that makes yourself happy, your happiness does not lie in the hand of another person. You would know that, okay, whatever this person does, he's not doing it to make you happy or so. He's doing it because, like, you guys are, like, it's just a fruit of his love for you. Something like that.
No, I get your point. So I really love what you said, right? when it comes to the aspect of, choosing low, you say something really powerful. That it's a reflection of who you are. You pick low because you think low about yourself. So it means what I heard you say, what came to the one line that came to my head is, elevate your good personality over the disease. Like, let what comes out be who you are, like the positive you, the good you, the best version of you, rather than, because to me, that actually even resonates with someone that is not even someone that has SS. It's to everyone. It's kind of like, some people already think low about themselves. Some people already think that they are worthless, not enough, don't deserve the best. So now it's almost like when they get in with someone, they just want to die. They want to choose anybody because they feel like they don't deserve the best. And whoever come, and like you said, the person would actually know that you are just choosing me because you feel like you don't have options. So, like you said, it's going to cause a crack in the relationship. And I actually love that, because what I would say to anybody is, whether you are someone that has sickle cell or not, just know your value, know your worth, and become the best version of you, because becoming the best version of you is actually the energy you pour out to people. Like, my energy can be felt by everybody, and that starts from within me. If I fake it, people will see that I'm actually faking the energy. But if I'm actually real, people really see that this is real. Like, if I'm kind, it's not niceness, it's kind. Because we can actually spot a nice person from a kind person. As much as some people can be confused about that, but they are two different, they are two separate things. Some people are just outrightly nice. Then nice are gestures. You know the right gestures to do, open the car door, pick a seat, you walk with a lady to eat, you draw a seat for her and she sits down. Those are gestures, and every good person should learn that. But then that doesn't deal with the rot within. If you don't actually know your worth, whether it's as a man, it affects both male and female. Because as a man, you might go, because you don't know your worth, you're trying to choose someone that is, you feel like is beyond you. And now you're trying to pursue that if I win her, then maybe I'm worthy. And same thing might happen for the lady who's trying to pick someone, and maybe they have tried with someone who they feel like they are not up to, and the person didn't choose them. So that already breaks them the more, and they're like, let me just settle for whoever comes along. And it's actually very important to share about this, because I believe personally that anybody that's watching, whether the sickle cell warrior or the normal person who needs to be aware of the people that are around them, if maybe sometimes you might have someone that is in your circle that even has sickle cell, but they don't want to voice out because they're afraid of the stigma. But somehow you've realized that sometimes they withdraw, sometimes they give off attitude and energy, sometimes and you might even be making nasty comments and not knowing that it's actually affecting them the wrong way. And somehow they don't want to come out and say, this is what I have to battle with every day, and everybody has their battle. So, and based on even the way you talk to them, they may not even want to come out again and say, I am battling this, because it will be, you're already talking down on me. So now it's like labeling me and looking at me like, oh, the inferior person in the group or the weak link or whatever. So I really enjoy this conversation. I hope you do like I do.
I did.
So, and what would be something you would say as the last thing for someone who needs to be aware about, your own, whatever you want to say? Because you told me you want to focus more on sharing about the journey of someone that is struggling with, sickle cell, reaching out like you're already doing in your volunteering. So what would you say to someone that is actually a sickle cell warrior, and then someone that you want them to be aware of, don't see me as a weakling. Don't stigmatize me.
Okay, so for a sickle cell warrior, what I'll say is, do not let your sickness define you. You are worth more than your sickness. Because sickle cell disease is not the only disease in this life. There are some people that carry their own on the outside of their body, like it's visible. Some is inside, like I say, it is not written on the forehead. So do not let it define you, which will mean that you should strive for the best, even in your situation or in your circumstance, you should not just give in to negative thoughts, because it's very easy, very, very easy to give in to negative thoughts and depressive thoughts, because you feel like, what exactly am I doing here? When I don't even have the energy to start with, when I can't be out and about like other people.
Wow.
So as much as possible, avoid or make a conscious effort to think positively. Because even for people that do not have sickle cell disease, there are times when they can feel down, and when life is not fair, when life doesn't feel fair. So do not dwell too much on your situation. And you're already here, you cannot go and throw a blame party for anybody. Because if at this age you are throwing a blame party, you should know that the generation you are throwing the blame party to was not aware in their own generation. They were not as aware as now. So you can't throw any blame party. Then for people that do not have sickle cell disease, what I would say is, when you notice, because there are some visible traits, like when you see somebody and you'll be like, oh, this person might have sickle cell disease. One visible aspect of somebody that has one visible sign of somebody that has sickle cell disease is their eye color, which is caused by jaundice, and jaundice is caused by the regular breakdown of red blood cell. So when you see somebody's eye color is not white, it's not shining white like some other people, and you suspect that this person might have sickle cell disease, do not confront the person in public. Maybe go closer and try to befriend the person, then ask. Because the person will have this automatic defense system, because they are used to a lot of people asking them weird questions. Like some people are so bold and they will tell them, I know a pastor that can heal you. Some of them will say, I have this vegetable in my compound. You should come and take this vegetable. So
why do people do this?
in Nigeria, in Africa. So I would say, do not be so obvious about it. If you want to confirm from the person, approach the person in a friendly way and confirm your suspicions. And if you notice that this person is feeling, or you meet this person in a state of weakness, you can approach the person and ask for ways to help. Yes.
Thank you actually for that, because for anyone who may not have known and then they make nasty comments like, no pastor that will heal you, that's extreme.
I have not seen anything, no extreme.
No, but who brings that?
You know, is how will I put it now? Jesus performed signs and
miracles. Yeah, I know about miracles.
So some of them are like, it has happened before. People have been healed of sickle cell disease.
Yes, but then we know that it has happened before. But why do you bring it up with someone you don't know?
Exactly.
Like, I just met you today and I'm like, oh, you're looking like someone that has sickle cell. I know a pastor that can hear you. Like, how does it make sense? Or
you suggest some kind of vitamin, some kind of medicine. See, what I advise is people that have sickle cell disease, don't take any medicine without confirming from your doctor. Because every single person is different. What works for Mr. A might not work for Mr. B. I used to take, my mom told me something. She said when I was much younger, I used to take a drug prescribed by the doctor, Palodrin, as a child. But she noticed that it's an everyday medicine. But she noticed that the day she skips it by mistake, I'm down. I'm just like, it's until I take the medicine again before I start to feel normal. So she noticed that if I skip that medicine, I fall sick. She decided that, you know what, let her stop it and monitor how I react before she would know the next step to take. And so after that, I didn't take that medicine as a routine medicine. So it's not like I can't take it, but I can't take it every day, Monday to Sunday. I can take it as a once in a while kind of medicine. Or like for now, I don't even take it. So every medicine is different for every person, regardless of having the same sickness.
Labeled kind of.
So do not, no matter how much they advise you and tell you, there are 1,001 drugs in the market for sickle cell disease. Don't take anything that is not prescribed by your doctor. And if you notice that you start to react to something, stop it and watch how your body is.
Yeah, I love that.
So
thank you for that. And I believe that anyone, the Sickle Cell Warrior and all of us who didn't know about or were not so aware of how to talk and how to relate would actually come to a place of realizing that, okay, we need to be better at how we talk with people. We need to be kinder, because I feel like we need more kindness in the world today. Not just not to sickle cell people, but to everybody. Like, people are not kind. People don't know how to relate with people. People don't know how to talk. Like, people make a lot of careless statements to people. How do you meet a stranger and just make a careless statement? Even if you see something obvious, like, it's better that you try to be more diplomatic in how or you keep quiet. Like Lucky Dube said it best. If you can't say something good about somebody, shut up.
Because usually the suggestion you are bringing, they must have tried it or they must have heard about it. You are not going to be the first person telling them about it.
Definitely. So now you want to save the day, Superman. Anyways, Hannah, has actually been a blessing and real good time with you.
Thank you.
In Godly Conversations. And I believe this will not be your last time, but it's your first time. Won't be your last time. We'd like to have you again whenever you want to do something. If you're going for volunteering stuff or anything you want to share.
No problem.
The floor is open for you to come share.
No problem.
And it's actually beautiful to have you.
No problem. Thank you. So I was going to say something.
Right.
You just mentioned the name of your podcast, Godly Conversations. So for this aspect, I would say, especially for Christians, it is a preventive measure to know your genotype, actively know your genotype before you get into a relationship.
Before you fall in love.
Exactly. There's this joke that I know that they say, like, when you go on a first date, your top 5 questions, one of your top 5 questions should be, what is your genotype?
Yeah.
Because sickle cell disease does not just affect the individual, it affects their family, emotionally, psychologically, financially.
Oh, that's great.
Financially.
That's true.
Like, you might think it's something, it is in this case that they say prevention is better than cure.
Yeah.
Because the what it takes to cure it will sap out a lot of resources from you.
Yeah.
Mentally, psychologically, socially, physically, financially.
That's true.
So yeah, prevention is better than cure.
Thanks for saying that, because people don't really know the financial implications of, like, having someone that is actually battling that, and which means once you don't have the money, that's why some of them can't sustain the person, and some families, like, the things skyrocket and then get outlandish that you can't even control it, because it's like the lack of the finance. I believe if some families had some of those cases that we've heard about would not have happened, because they didn't have any way, no resource to even eat. So how then are you buying medicine for every day? No, thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And I was going to say,
we're with you.
My work as a volunteer, I've noticed that most of these families end up broken, in the sense that there's so much pressure that the father has to leave. In some cases, the father is absolutely absent.
Oh.
Because there's nothing he can do anymore. He has maxed out his resources. Now it's taking an emotional and psychological toll on him. So there are a lot of broken homes that come with sickle cell disease. I know of people who, when they find out things like that, the father leaves. Usually the mother cannot leave because it's her child.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of strain on the mother too. So it takes a woman that is strong to be able to even care for her child. Some start to feel so bad for themselves and the child.
Yeah.
So there are so many cases I've seen.
So everybody should,
prevent.
Prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
Go and check your genotype today.
Yes.
Before you fall in love with that guy that's looking good.
And when you are checking your genotype, check other things.
Okay.
Don't just check your genotype.
Genotype and...
Like, when you get to the hospital, they can tell you what to check.
Okay, run a full body checkup.
Exactly, that's the word. Just
Go and run a full body checkup.
Do the whole thing.
Be sure you are healthy, and know that your health is your body is your vehicle for life. And if you lose your health, it means you've lost it all. And of course, they do say health is wealth, but I feel like we most of all, we sometimes just use it as this thing, as a word, a statement, but we forget that it's actually the real wealth.
I'm telling you.
So, thank you. And everyone listening, I really appreciate your time and you listening or watching. If you're watching on YouTube, it is my pleasure to have you watch Godly Conversations podcast. And this very episode, as you can see, it's been a special episode. Let us know in the comments what has been your experience if you're a Sickle Cell Warrior. And if you're someone that has someone like that, let us know your experiences in the comments. It might actually help someone else who actually might be reading the comments, and subscribe to this channel if you are yet to subscribe, and share this video to someone. Let your friend and your family members get to watch this. It will be my pleasure to have you watch the next episode. And I love you. See you in the next episode. Hannah, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Thank you so much for watching this conversation. I love you so much. Take a moment and share with me what stood out for you in today's episode of Godly Conversations podcast. It is going to help someone who is listening and maybe going through the comments to relate with what they are learning also. And I want you to do one other thing for me. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel. That is your way of supporting this podcast. And one more thing, I want to see you in the next episode, just right here.